Everybody out there, RMJ Movie Reviews Incorporated back with another movie review. As I said in my last review, I'm going to be reviewing the 1992 chiller entitled Candyman. This is another film from my childhood that I have a lot of memories with. I actually saw this film in theaters when it came out, 1992. I can't remember whether it was, I don't remember whether it was the fall or whether it was going into the spring of 1992. I can't remember, but I remember I was about 10 years old, and again, my aunt took me and my cousins to go see it, and we were thoroughly creeped out and terrified by the time the film was over. All you guys out there have seen Candyman. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to give you like a quick synopsis of the plot. Basically, there's a graduate student named Helen, and she's writing a thesis about urban legends, and she's interviewing freshmen at the University of Illinois in Chicago, and she starts to hear from the grapevine from all the students and some of the various staff members who work in the university that there's a happy hook-wielding serial killer known as the Candyman, who basically, to make him come to life, you say his name 5 times in the mirror, a la the Green Lady, the Green Man, and all that kind of stuff, Bloody Mary. And he appears behind you and cuts you to shreds and guts you and all kinds of fun stuff. Well, which basically happens is after she interviews this freshman, she interviews a cleaning woman who works at the university, and the woman actually tells her a story about a friend of hers who knew this woman named Ruthie Jean. Ruthie Jean was a woman who was actually lived in the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago, which was a real project at the time. It has since been torn down. It doesn't exist anymore. But it was like one of the most dangerous projects, I think, in the United States. It must have been somewhere up there in the top 5. But it was a pretty crazy place. Anybody out there, look up Cabrini Green. There's actual footage of it on the internet. I mean, I saw a special on A&E. And actually, when I was in college, this was like a couple of years ago. I don't know. I was like 24, 25, something like that. I had a social work class. And actually, in the class, Cabrini Green was the subject of one of our lectures we had one day. I mean, it was like the wild, wild west in this place. Like, if you look at a crazy movie like Escape from New York or something like that, or Mad Max, where the future is just crazy, wild, and people were doing it, that was Cabrini Green. It was pretty insane. But either way, this woman, Ruthie Jean, lived in the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago. She was murdered, supposedly by the Candyman. And to the residents who live in the projects of Cabrini Green, that is where Candyman allegedly lives. Of course, no one has ever seen Candyman, so we don't know if he exists or if he doesn't. So basically, Helen and her good buddy Bernadette decide that in order to get the best thesis, of course for a graduate class, that they should venture into Cabrini Green, investigate Ruthie Jean's apartment where the woman was murdered, interview various residents, and thus Helen's descent into hell and the world of Candyman ensues. One of the strongest aspects of Candyman is that I love, and it's kind of a balancing act of a film. The first act and the first half of the second act are the strongest parts of the movie. They really build up Candyman, you know, because really you don't actually physically see him until well into the middle of the movie and the last half of the movie. But when they're just talking about him in the movie, they build such a creepy factor. And every character in the movie has a story about Candyman. You know, they've got, to me, those are the most frightening parts of the movie. When the girl is telling the story about some chick who was messing around with some guy who wasn't her boyfriend, and they're about to fool around or whatever, and she's gonna go all the way with this guy who's got a leather jacket on and all this kind of stuff. And she goes, "I got a surprise for you." So the guy goes downstairs to drink his beer, and thus she decides to say Candyman for the 5th time in the bathroom by herself. Cut the light off, and Candyman appears, and then the music kind of goes, and then you see like this string of blood go through the ceiling. That scene frightened me so much when I first saw it in theaters. Another scene is the scene I was talking about, where the cleaning lady is telling Helen about her friend. And supposedly the story went that Ruthie Jean was calling the police. She could hear somebody crashing through the walls. She told the police, "Get here now. There's somebody crashing through the walls." Nobody ever came. And she called for the last time. She said, "Seriously, somebody's crashing through the wall." And thus, by the time the police get there, Ruthie Jean is dead. And it's so chilling to hear that story. It's still very scary. And I think the last one that was really frightening to me was the one where there's a little homeless kid in the movie who Helen meets, and he's telling a story about that his buddy said that Candyman lives in this bathroom that's on the Cabrini Green project campus. It's like a little bathroom out by the playground or whatever. We've all seen those in playgrounds across the United States. But Candyman supposedly lives in there, and he supposedly murdered a young retarded boy in there. And they do this flashback scene where the kid is like on the ground and there's blood. It's one of the most terrifying parts of the movie to me. That scene always scared me. Now, one of the cool things about it is they never really say in the movie if any of these stories are true or not. And I'll be the first to admit that I've seen Candyman hundreds of times. I do not know if Candyman exists or not. And by the end of the film, they never really tell you for sure if Candyman is real or not. I've read various kind of articles and things on the internet, IMDb, where people say that Helen is the killer. I don't like that idea. I've never liked the idea. The only time where the whole character has split personality thing, the only movie that ever worked in, to me, is Psycho. That's it. Norman Bates is the only character who ever pulled off that switch. But when you look at movies like High Tension or Fight Club or that really horrible movie that Robert De Niro did called Hide and Seek, I don't like that idea of the switch, of the split personality. It just doesn't work for me, So I disregard that theory. I just think it's just left up to the viewer to decide if Candyman is real or not, because the movie throws out a lot of red herrings. All these stories, again, you don't know if they're true. And then there's a scene where Candyman is talking to Helen while she's in a mental institution because they think that she's kidnapped this resident's baby and like severed her dog's head. It's a really gross scene. The dog's head is cut off, and they kind of try and tie it to Helen, that Helen is actually the one who's committed these murders, or at least committed a couple of murders thus far. The previous murders were apparently the handiwork of a guy pretending to be the Candyman, who was the leader of a gang called the Vice Lords. So again, the movie throws out all these clues. None of them really connect. I think the real, I think what they're really shooting for with Candyman is just the idea of an urban legend. So again, people tell all these stories, and we don't know if they're true or if they're not. But it's really the power of the story. You know what I mean? By the time the story goes from this person to that person, this person, everybody, it has taken on a whole nother level. It's almost like a rumor in a school. We've all heard rumors about this person and that person when we're in high school. But by the time it gets to 100 people, this has gone to a whole nother level. And that's the whole idea of the urban legend. It kind of becomes its own thing after it's passed on by so many people. And I think that that's once Candyman makes his appearance in this movie, that's kind of his whole motive. I think if he has one, that's kind of what I gathered, is that he gets his power from the fact that people believe in him. And Helen is kind of demystifying him, saying he doesn't exist. So thus, that's how he makes his appearance and tracks her down. At least between those two characters in the movie. And again, we don't know if Candyman is real or not. But there's a whole lot of really creepy imagery in the movie. A lot of the stuff that's really creepy to me is just the stuff that's implied. I didn't catch a lot of this when I saw it because I was so young, but I just now realized that Helen is actually... I never knew when I was a kid that was the apartment that Ruthie Jean died in, because I was so young and I didn't really listen to the dialogue. But upon watching it now, this movie's really disturbing. It's like, these two graduate students are going into the worst projects in the world. Now, we all know in reality, Women is Beautiful is Virginia Madsen and Casey Lemons. A fate would befall them that we'd probably rather not want to speak about in real life if they really were to do this. But in this film, they ease into the projects and ease out with no harm. But in this film, you know, they go into this woman's apartment who was murdered, and one of the creepy things, I always thought this was a creepy idea to the story, is how they're saying how the killer apparently was able to break into people's apartments, is that because these are housing projects, all the apartments connect. So and really what the killer was doing was breaking in through the bathroom windows, because they didn't really put like any secure structure behind there. So the guy's breaking through the windows, and that was believed how he killed Ruthie Jean. Again, the movie doesn't explain if Candyman killed her or not, or why he killed her. It's just believed that whoever did kill Ruthie Jean broke in from behind the bathroom from the next door apartment. And that's a really chilling, creepy idea in this movie. And then it throws out the other creepy idea of you know, candy with razor blades in it. Again, we don't know if Candyman put those there, you know, and if he did, I don't know why he did it. But again, it's just one of the numerous red herrings that the movie throws out and creepy things. I remember seeing a review for this when this film came out, when I lived in my old house that me and my mother and sister used to live at when I was a kid. And I remember seeing a review for Siskel and Ebert, and they talked about how well, Ebert gave it a good review, and Siskel, you know, sometimes he could I always found Ebert to be a little bit more generous than Siskel. But you know, Siskel at the time, you know, he said it was just another gore fest and blah blah blah. And you know, most of the murders that do happen, first of all, there aren't that many murders that happen in the film, and the ones that do happen, there's two of them that happen on screen, and you don't even really see anything. Yeah, there's one where Candyman kills a psychiatrist, and there's kind of blood squirting out, but we're not actually seeing the hook like going in and pulling and all that. You're just seeing stuff squirting. I mean, I don't know. I just think people are just too sensitive. All it is red dots shooting all over the place, but whatever. And then there's the one where, you know, Helen takes the Candyman mantle and she kills her cheating husband, Trevor, at the end of the movie. And even then, they don't even show anything. So I just think people are over exaggerating. I mean, yeah, you got a couple of gory effects with the flashback with the kid holding his midsection, and then you got the stuff with the bees coming out of his mouth and all that. But I don't know. I just think people are over exaggerating. I just think they're too sensitive. But again, once they show Candyman and he comes in, it kind of loses the creep factor a little, because Tony Todd, who's a fantastic actor, well, unless you're just some racist person, a big 6'6" black man just might be scary looking to you, period. To me, I am black, and I've seen relatives in my family who look like him, so to me, it just looks like a brother in a pimp looking coat and a hook. You know, so once he kind of makes his appearance, he's very imposing, but you know, it kind of loses a little bit of it. But I will say, Candyman's introduction in this movie when he first meets Helen is one of the coolest intros to a scary character I've seen. We all remember the shot where he's kind of going and he's got his head back and he goes, Helen. Cool scene. Again, that's the cool thing about Candyman, is just the creep factor and the building up of Candyman. And also, this movie has a fantastic musical score as well that's very, very, very creepy. That's one of my favorite parts about this film. The only thing I never liked about Candyman is just the third act, the ending. I've always hated the ending to Candyman. It's just not a good ending. And it's not saying that it's just a disappointing ending. It's just they built everything up so well, and it just kind of, to me, the ending felt rushed and tacked on, and it wasn't very satisfying to me. But outside of kind of the kind of slapshot ending, you know, again, excellent horror film. Candyman is the type of horror films that I'd like to make, where really it's the atmosphere and kind of that sense of dread and tension that makes the horror. Not so much the blood squirting, but just the tension. You know, is he behind the corner? What's behind that wall? You know, that's the stuff that's good. So again, if none of you out there have seen Candyman, check it out. You know, if you're, you know, sensitive and faint of heart to fake blood and fake special effects, then I guess don't check it out because you're too sensitive and, you know, whatever. And if you guys do check it out, don't bother with Farewell to the Flesh or Day of the Dead. Farewell to the Flesh is kind of a lackluster, mediocre sequel. In that film, Candyman is not implied. They actually make him literal for real. I don't particularly care for that film. It's got some okay ideas in it, but I don't really care for it. The third one, I really, really, really hate. I remember at the time I was 17. I was a junior in high school. Wait a minute. No. It was going into my senior year. It was the summer of my senior year, and I remember it like came straight to HBO Thursday night premiere movies or something. It's a horrible movie. It's really, really low budget. It looks cheap. It looks shoddy. Don't even bother with it. Clive Barker, who actually wrote the original story of Candyman in book form called The Forbidden, he hates the third one too. So don't even bother with it. Again, check out Candyman. Excellent film. Excellent film. Okay, I'm going to come back with my review for Black History Month. It's going to be Crush Groove, which is kind of a semi-autobiographical story of Russell Simmons and when he started on the Def Jam label back in the 80s. Fun movie. I'm going to kind of try to cram a couple more surprise reviews in. I wanted to, guys, I'm sorry. I really wanted to do like Deep Cover, and I wanted to do Posse, and I wanted to do Ricochet with Denzel Washington, because I kind of feel those are films that are, and I wanted to do School Days too. It's just, you know, guys, you know, I'm working full time, so it's like when I kind of watch these movies, I kind of squeeze them in when I can. Sometimes I get up really, really early to watch them, or sometimes I try to like watch them while I'm in bed laying down. So I kind of squeeze them in when I can. So I did the best I could, guys. I'm also going to be reviewing the Liam Neeson thriller Nonstop, and I'm going to post that too. And again, guys, please subscribe to my channel. Give me some feedback. Let's talk about movies. It's still snowing here, so I haven't had a chance to go out and buy the materials I need to build my new sets and buy a new camera and create my opening montage and all that, which I'm going to put that stuff up soon, so just bear with me. But for all of you guys who watch and check it out, let's talk about movies. Give me feedback. If I missed anything, put it in there. All right, you all have a nice afternoon, evening, whatever.